But what on earth did you make of what has happened over the last few days?
Well, there's very few things you talk about on a Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and we get to Saturday morning and we come in at 5 o'clock and we're talking about the Super League.
Yeah.
That's the extent of where this has been going and being driven by a lot of people and saying greed. I'm a little bit... I was a bit disappointed on Monday night when I heard Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher talk. And they talked very, very well about...
I was going to say, you're probably the only one that's going to say
No, I
something
don't
like
know.
that,
I don't know,
passionate.
because I don't agree with the Super League at all. Okay. They were very passionate about what they believe, but I was disappointed there wasn't a counter-argument of, is it just greed? Now, obviously, that's the main driver of this car, okay, which is alluded everywhere, that money. It probably tells you more about football's maxed out at the very top end, where they're obviously the pandemic has come at a huge cost, but in general, owners are looking to make more and more money because football has been maxed out at the top level.
Okay.
And look, there's a lot. I mean, I read the headlines this morning. Karen Brady snakes. We called them worse. This was a crime. And you sort of think, come on. You can't be one saying things. The way your club has acted at times and what you've done. You know, football is guilty in many different angles, at many different levels of creating more. I paid £8 for 4 bags of crisps at West Ham 4 years ago. £8, right? Football fans have been fleeced like you wouldn't believe over the years. In many, and it's not West Ham, it's loads of clubs all over the board.
Listen, you're absolutely right. Fans should be the most important stakeholder when it comes to football, but they're not. They're very much at the bottom of the pile. And this was evident in this European Super League being with that announcement that came out on Sunday night. Obviously, it was all mooted sort of Sunday afternoon, should we say, and then suddenly all these statements from all the various clubs that were involved suddenly were all put on social media, and it was all going ahead, it felt. But the biggest problem for me, Cass, and you're quite right to sort of ask, well, one, we never really got the perspective from the European Super League, from those clubs that wanted to be involved in it, in terms of all we got was the statement. We never really got the understanding of why they wanted to do this, really, like the true... There's no one came out and really spoke about it. The managers couldn't speak about it. They didn't know about it.
That was incredible.
The players couldn't speak about it. They didn't know about it. Like you, very much against it, me. I cannot believe they even thought to go ahead with it. But to not consult the right people before even thinking about joining this European Super League, for me, was the crime, if you like. Because, as I say, fans, most important stakeholders. Then you've got your managers, then you've got your players who are all involved in all this as well. And to not have even suggested any kind of dialogue with those.
Absolutely. I'm glad the managers
That's
now.
criminal.
How does a manager like Jurgen Klopp go in front of a camera team and literally say, I don't know? And then Pep Guardiola does it. These are managers with incredible power at their football clubs, and they've not even been turned to asked about whether it's a good idea. I find that incredible. Out of all the stuff that's come out, I find that managers of these clubs would have some sort of inkling about what's going on behind the scenes. Nothing. Nothing at all. So that in itself... Oh, look, it's very Spanish-driven, and I'm not trying to excuse English clubs, Premier League clubs, from what they've been doing as well. But if you look at Spanish football, huge debts, the big two major clubs, very small revenue compared to the Premier League, what they get from, obviously the outlets of Sky and many others. The TV deals are huge. And Barcelona and Real Madrid are maxed out. They get the most they can get out the TV deals because they get a much larger portion of the pie than other clubs in Spain. Them clubs are both in huge debt. Them clubs have ageing squads. I think that Barcelona and Real Madrid, especially Madrid, have looked at it and gone, we're not doing Galactico signings anymore. We can't because of their debts, building a new stadium, age of squad. They think they won't be as competitive. I think they feel that Man City, PSG, certainly Chelsea, clubs with huge revenue without being, just based on, say, wealthy owners. These are super wealthy owners. And I think they can't be as competitive and they need to find more money. And they ain't going to find more money in La Liga.
Well, it's interesting because some of the statements that have been put out since the sort of retraction of being involved, the withdrawal of being involved in the European Super League has, for example, with Chelsea, that in their statement yesterday that they put out with their open letter to the fans, they sort of blamed it all on the fact of they were made aware of it and they didn't want to miss out. And that's why they did it. That's why they got involved, because they couldn't possibly miss out on this opportunity that could have meant that Chelsea were left behind all the other clubs. And there's probably that thinking from maybe a few of the other clubs that have got involved in this ill-fated scheme, shall we say. And I've called them the shameful six. We know there's the dirty dozen as well. But for me, you hit the nail on the head a little bit earlier on about football in general is at fault for all of this. We have allowed football to get to this state where money controls everything, obviously. I mean, that's inevitable in any business. But, of course, money is so huge in football that we've allowed these broadcasting rights to be astronomical, for example, which has then now led to these player wages that are astronomical. And for everybody who isn't involved in football. Yeah,
paid CEOs.
Absolutely.
When I come in, I've been in the game 4 decades, and it was families that owned, clubs, especially lower down the leagues, that didn't have a financial interest as much. Okay, they still made money in other ways from owning a football club. It's a problem, and football wages are the biggest problem. I heard Simon and Jim, and Simon's always talked about football wages and how there has to be some sort of cap on it, because I just don't see how you can. Caps are done by clubs anyway. They have their own idea what they pay. They will only go to the amount they can pay. So it's a strange scenario. I think there's loads more to run on this story. And just one thing, Nat, we have to be careful as fans, because we're all guilty of this. Because when fans are calling out the greed of football, they're the first to say, we need to buy a £70 million striker. We need to spend this. We need to spend 200 million in the summer. Now, what do they think? Owners are just going to go, yeah, you're right, we'll go and spend it.
But isn't there a difference, I suppose fans would say, in owners spending money on improving your squad, which benefits everybody, than something like this European Super League, which perhaps only lines the pockets of the owners? Yeah,
but the greed is the same thing, isn't it? It's about greeding and wanting more. And fans are guilty of that as well. I mean, I'm a fan, and I want Liverpool to buy Mbappe, and I'm not really considering yet. We're all guilty of that because we love a club and we love our club to be successful. That's what fans are. You can get carried away. Look, like I said at the very start, football's been fleecing fans for a long time now in many different ways. This is just another version of being fleeced in a bigger way that football suffers. Because I played in the lower league or lower down the pecking order, Gillingham, and started my career and non-league, I don't want to see football at that level suffer. I think it would come as a consequence that football down the pyramids would suffer. I don't want that. That's my biggest reason why I don't want the European League. It's more to do what happens down at tier 6, 7, 8 of English football. We are blessed in this country with fans going to clubs like Woking or wherever Salford or wherever you want to go to around the country. Many, many clubs at different levels where it's nearly like family-run clubs, if you like we did years ago. And I like that. I love that. I don't want to lose that. I want to keep that in English football. And yet at the very top, you've got to be careful because they can control, and they have been controlled. Without the top 6, Premier League wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be a league of any notoriety of any sort.